Hello guys! Today a very long awaited video. As a lot of you know, I recently released my new sample pack, and since then a lot of people have been asking, how do you make samples? Well, today I'm gonna show you how to do that in Serum. Everything we're about to do you can do in Vital as well. I just prefer Serum, but it's basically the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. We are going to make the drums for this little super simple track that I put together. These are no like extraordinary samples or anything. These are very, very basic sounds. But they're all made with Serum, and it's all pretty easy. Like I said, none of these samples are like, wow, that's the best clap I've ever heard or something like that. But by sort of following along, maybe you'll gain sort of an understanding of how these sounds are built up. Can you hear me if I turn on the fan? Can you hear me? You're probably gonna hear some fan noise, but it's like 30 degrees. So this is what you have when you open up Serum. We want the analog BD sine. It's a sine wave. 2 octaves down. You want a low sine wave, pretty much. You could also use the sub oscillator. It doesn't really matter. Then what you could do is just shape the first envelope here. That's gonna determine the ADSR of the kick. Next, we can introduce some noise to the kick. Basically, a kick is a pitched sine wave together with some clicks or some noises. In Serum, we have the noise oscillator here. You can just... any sort of white noise will do. You can link the envelope to the level here. Just a little bit. Next, we go to the LFO1. Change it to envelope. We can turn these off. And then in the matrix, we want to link LFO1 to global master tune. Make sure that the master tune does not have the double arrow here in the matrix. It needs to be like this. You can play around with this, shape it how you want. The reason we do it in an LFO and not in an envelope is we have more control. We can put out, you know, individual dots in here, which you can't do in an envelope. You only have the attack, decay, sustain, and release. So this is when the effects start to come in, mainly distortion and compression. Quite a lot of distortion. You could go like super crazy and do like stupid things with the pitch. Like create like a... Also depending on, you know, if you want to make a hard kick or a really soft kick. In this case, we're making a pretty hard kick. So a lot of distortion, quite a hard punch here with the pitch on the master tune. Last but not least, a compressor. And, you know, you can keep tweaking all the major parameters of the cake, like the drive of the distortion, the decay of the first envelope, the pitch, LFO, stuff like that. But basically there you have sort of your standard aggressive nice kick. So yeah, first sample done. Next up, the most basic clap ever. Basically a clap is... oh, hello Chico. Shana. Basically, a clap is noise that you automate the volume with an LFO to sort of mimic a couple of hands coming together like this. We're making this clap out of white noise, and I would suggest after you've made the initial clap in Serum to layer that with other stuff, like record a clap like this, or duplicate the sample, EQ that differently, pan it to the left, you know, something like that, and layer them together, because this in and of itself isn't a finished clap. In my opinion. But like I said, it's sort of a base for you to sort of experiment with, I guess. But anyway, we're gonna make our clap out of white noise. A lot of stuff is made out of white noise. Turn off oscillator A. And then we just want to shape our LFO1 into sort of a triple triangular shape. If we link that to the level... Oops, and change that to envelope. Like I said, imagine this being like 3 claps recorded together in close proximity. Like You could also enable the filter, enable the noise, link that to here. Yeah, something like that. You can add a little bit of distortion. You can try different stuff as well. Some EQ. EQ is pretty much the most important thing when making a clap. We can add some EQ post this as well. But basically just removing some of the initial lows. Once you have something that sounds like that, you can add an EQ post. I just find that a little bit more easy. You can add some reverb. You can also play with the pitch of the noise. So let's say you have that down here. What I would do then, go record a few of these. Combine this process with a lot of happy accidents and just playing around, and you'd be surprised what you can make. I didn't do this step for the clap I have up here, but I just wanted to show you like kind of how I think about doing it. So there we have a kick and a clap. Next up we have a snare. A snare is probably one of the easier things to do. A snare is basically a sine wave and white noise. You can imagine the initial punch of a snare is the sine wave, and the sort of tail end is the white noise. So let's load up a sine wave. We're also going to enable the noise oscillator. We're going to drag envelope 2 to the level of the sine wave. Make that very short. Envelope 3 will be used for the white noise, which we want to have a little bit longer of a tail. Once you start adding some distortion, make the sine even shorter. You start to hear that, oh, maybe this could become a snare. You could also play around with what note you're playing the snare on, because that'll make a huge difference. Same thing goes for a snare, that goes for a kick. Distortion and compression is pretty much the main things. And then you can use an EQ to sort of tune the snare in whatever way you want to. That's basically a basic 808 snare. You can use the EQ inside of Serum if you want to find a certain frequency that you want to push. Something like that sounds good to me. From there you can pretty much do anything you want post. I really like Fruity Blood Overdrive. I think it's an amazing distortion plugin. You could add, I don't know, Sound Geyser. Keep tweaking some stuff with EQ. You could add reverb if you wanted to create something like this. But there you have your basic snare. Snares are really fun to play around with. I really like making snares and kicks. I think those are my favorites to make. So next up, a little hi-hat, white noise. Just choose whatever. Shape it like this. And you're done. No, I'm just kidding. Some EQ. A little bit of compression maybe. Play around with an EQ. You could do a lot of things at a Combs filter. Depending on the style that you're going for, obviously. There we have a hi-hat, very simple hi-hat. Same thing goes for a ride. Go for some noise, a bit of EQ. And then doing a comb filter. There's a really good video on cymbal synthesis. I'll link it in the description if I remember to. But basically a comb filter is like taking a million of these just next to each other. I'm not even gonna try to explain it. Do the final shaping. That's a ride cymbal. You know what I mean? So like I said before, this is not meant to be a complete tutorial on how to make the perfect kick and the perfect snare. ultimately that's up to you and to what you want to make, but I hope it gave you sort of an insight into the basics of it, because basically once you know the basics, then it's just all up to you to sort of play around, just try stuff for yourself. And like I said, a lot of things are just happy accidents. You just messing around and then finding something and you're like, maybe I could use this technique on this. So yeah, if you're really interested in stuff like this, then by all means, go for it. It's a lot of fun. It's totally overkill. You don't have to make your own drums to create your own original music. You don't have to create your own presets and stuff like that. But it's a lot of fun and you learn a lot from it. So I definitely recommend you guys to at least try it out. If you're not interested in creating your own drum sounds, or presets for that matter, first of all, why are you watching this video? Second of all, go over to my website, mhmusic.com. Sample packs, sound banks, everything you need. Hope you enjoyed the video. Join the Discord, follow me on Instagram and Twitch and, you know, everything, because I post on there sometimes. Other than that, I wish you guys a great rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next video. Leave suggestions down below. Bye bye!